Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Now today we're gonna take a look at what to do against over advanced weak pawns. As you can see in this position, white has a c3 weakness. Now why is that a weakness? That's a weakness because it's kind of a backwards pawn. It's on the same file as our rook, on an open file, so the rook can easily attack it. Also, we could put pressure on this pawn with our bishop after, let's say, bishop e7, bishop f6. And this pawn could really be in some trouble. So that's why this pawn is a bit weak. And also these pawns are a bit over advanced, I think. And as you're going to see, our opponent is going to make his pawn structure even worse. But of course, this is not some winning advantage or something. It's still around equal, but it's a bit unpleasant for white. And if white is not careful, as you're going to see, black can get a winning advantage quite quickly. So okay, here I played my queen to c7. Just connecting the rooks, also putting our queen here. It could exert some pressure here. And maybe I'm also preparing rook d8, let's say, bring the rook to the open file. And I think this is the most logical move in this position. And he played queen e2. And here I came up with this nice idea of remaneuvering this bishop to the f6 square, from where, it's putting quite some pressure along this diagonal, and it's going to be quite annoying. Okay, so now my opponent made a bad move. He played b5, advancing these pawns even further. This is a bad move because this pawn becomes even more backwards. Even if he manages to push it to c4, it's still going to be backwards, it's still going to be weak, it's going to be weak forever. And he also gives my pieces a nice square here. Especially my knight. That's the whole point, that I can play knight to a5 and the knight is coming here. Also putting pressure on this bishop. This knight is really nice here. It's a nice outpost, for the knight. So this is just great for us. Here he played knight to d4. And the move for me was to just continue with my maneuver to play bishop to f6. But I played knight c4 immediately, which is not a good move because of the reason that he has this nice tactical idea of knight to c6. Now the point is that this knight is attacked now, and if I take this, he's going to take here with the queen, and it's probably around equal. If someone is playing for a win, it's me still, but it's around equal. Now, if I don't do that, if I don't know, take this one, he's of course not going to take the knight and then just lose a piece. He can throw in an intermediate move, knight takes e7, and then recapture the knight. And again, it's quite equal. So because of that, knight c4 wasn't the best move just yet. First, I should have played bishop to f6. Because then, after knight c4, if he plays knight c6, I can just take on b2, and he doesn't have this intermezzo of taking the bishop on e7 with check. That's the whole point of it. But okay. This was a blitz game, so I didn't see that idea. But even though it's a blitz game, I think it's a pretty nice game to show. So he didn't see it. He moved his bishop to c1, which also looked like some pretty bad move. I can just continue with my plan. I play bishop to f6. And now I'm quite better, I think. Because, like I said, this knight is very nice. This pawn is very weak. These pawns could also become weak, in some endgame where my rooks can start just attacking them because they're so advanced. For example, rook to c4. And in a couple of moves, we're actually going to see that happen. So, okay, here he played bishop e3. This is a really bad move. I can just take the bishop and then take the pawn. Take this weakness, So I just took it, he recaptured it, and I just took the pawn. Now I'm a clear pawn up. Okay, I have doubled pawns here on this side where I'm a pawn up, but also I have a bishop which can work on both sides of the board, on the king side and on the queen side. The knight needs more time to come from the queen side to the king side. The bishop can just move there in one move. So that's why I think bishop is better here. And I'm also quite active here. So, okay, he decided to... We're also attacking the knight, by the way. So he decided to just take the queen. I recaptured the queen. And still this knight is attacked. He has to do something about it. And he defended it. Now we can see another disadvantage, like I said, of just pushing his pawns. They become weak. So we can just play rook c4 here, attacking the knight and attacking this pawn. We're going to win another pawn here. So yeah, this is just winning for us here. He has to move the knight because it's attacked, and we just take a pawn. Okay, computer says it's a dubious move, but I think this move is okay. I think computer wants something like this. But okay, I mean, just taking the pawn is, of course, just winning. So here he gets active, but I decided I had in mind to just play b6. I'm defending this pawn with my rook, and then I'm going to play something like rook b4. Okay, I'm going to give up this pawn, but I'm going to get this one, and I'm going to have a passed pawn here on the b file, and also one extra pawn here on the king side. So I thought this must be winning. Now I think the best thing for him to do would have been rook c1. I thought he was gonna do that with the idea, with a clear idea of just going to the 7th rank, of course, and his rooks would be active here. This would be probably the best idea to try to play for a draw, but he just played the g4 here, again weakening pawns, weakening squares here around his king. This pawn is going to be weak, as you're going to see, and also this pawn is just a pretty bad move. His idea is to play something like g5 or I don't know, but yeah, I just decided to play rook to d8 to get rid of his active rook, exchange this active rook, you know, because it's quite annoying. He played rook d1. Okay, I exchange one pair of rooks. Now he doesn't have so many chances with two rooks, you know, to be annoying on the 7th rank or something. So I think that's a good thing for us. And here I just played g5. I wanted to prevent moves like g5, you know, and also it fixes this weakness here on h3. And this knight is kind of cut off, as you can see. These squares are all taken away, and I'm very happy about this position. So okay, he played king f1. I played my rook here, like I said earlier, to create ourselves a passed pawn. He gives us a check, no problem. And now we move our rook, attack the knight at the same time, and I just start pushing my passed pawn. So he plays rook to f8, but it seems annoying, you know, but it's actually not. We can just play king g6 and we're perfectly safe here. He can't really attack us or anything, and the king defends this one well. So he realized that this was not such a great move, and he just went back. He doesn't have anything better to do, of course. What is he going to do? I mean, he can't move the king, he loses the knight. He can't move the knight, he loses this guy. So it's just a really bad position. So he just went back. He can just wait here. I pushed my pawn. He played his rook here. I gave a check, pushed my pawn, and he went here with his knight. Now it seems that we are losing this pawn here, but the point is that we have kind of a cool move, which is bishop d4. The point is that, okay, we want to deflect the king from the defense of this knight here, which the rook is attacking. If he takes the bishop, I just take the knight with a check, and okay, where is he going to go? If he goes here, then I guess we go here, and we still have this passed pawn and also one extra pawn here on the king side. Should be absolutely winning. Also, if he goes here for this pawn, I can just take this guy, and then also, you know, take these pawns here, and this is completely winning. So after this bishop d4 check, he decided to play king d3 and avoid, you know, getting into a lost rook endgame. But now he's going to get into a lost minor piece ending. Because, okay, now we can take this pawn, of course. And after he takes our pawn, I just decided to go into this ending because we have 4 pawns against 2 pawns and we just have to be a little bit precise to win this, but not so precise. I mean, it's pretty easy. Okay, so let me show you how this worked out. I played f5, just trying to create passed pawns. That's the whole point here. We want to push our pawns. There's no other way of winning here. So he played king e2. I played my bishop here. This knight is cut off, so he has to find another way of activating the knight. But okay, here I played king f6. He played his knight here. I attacked the knight. I mean, I didn't have a lot of time now because it was blitz, but it's a fine move. He went here attacking the bishop. I went here. By the way, a good technique in bishop versus knight endings is to cut off the knight so it doesn't have a lot of squares. As you can see, here the knight really doesn't have a lot of squares. This is not the best example for this principle, but I just wanted to remind you of that. So okay, he played knight e3. I played g6. He played his knight back. I played e5. Just pushing these pawns. The point of playing g6 is of course to prepare e5 because I don't want to play. I can't play e5 now because he just takes, and then this would probably be a draw. So that's why I played g6, so that after e5, if he takes here, I just go like this and it's completely winning. You can see these 3 pawns are just monsters. So okay, I played e5, he went there. I can just check him. I'm not afraid of any sacrifices, of course. This is just winning. We're gonna come and pick up these 2 pawns. Yeah, I mean, he moved, and of course I want to push my pawns on the light squares. So then the king has to go to the dark squares, and then I can attack the king with my dark squared bishop, and then proceed to move my pawns. So this is a really nice technique here. You don't want to play something like f4, of course, because he can create a blockade on the light squares, and this position now is actually a draw. I mean, you can't do anything. He can just move his knight around here, and you can't push the pawns. This looks really bad. You don't want that. So that's why you want to push your pawns in the light squares when you have a dark squared bishop. This is really important to know. So okay, he went here. I checked him. He went back. I moved my bishop. I just played king to e6. He went here. He's hoping, of course, for something like this, so then he can fork me. But it's not gonna happen. I just played my king to e4. He played knight b7. I moved my bishop. He played this, and now I played f4. Just creating 2 passed pawns, and we're gonna crush him now. Even if he wins one of these pawns or both pawns with the knight, with our king and with these pawns, also with the help of the bishop, this king is either going to get mated or we're going to promote a queen, as you're going to see now. So he played his knight here. I gave him a check on the light squares, and I played my bishop here. Just wanted to, protect this pawn, and he started to attack this pawn, but I don't really care. I just played my bishop to f4. He took, and I'm not even moving my bishop here, of course, because the point is that these pawns are so far advanced that he can take the bishop if he wants. He's going to lose because, as you're going to see here, he played h4 here, but if he took the bishop, the point is that we can take it back, and he has these 2 passed pawns, but you can see that these pawns are really far advanced and we're probably going to win this. But you have to be careful though. If he plays b4, then I think this move is a bad one, because he can just push his pawn, and if you try to promote your to a queen, he's also going to promote a queen, so that's not a great idea. A better idea here is to just go back with the king and stop this pawn. He can play this or something. Now the point is that, okay, if he goes here, you can play this move, let's say, and he can't push these pawns because he's going to lose them. And if you just move the king, Now we can go here. It looks scary, you know, this pawn, but we're faster here. We can just play this move, and if he goes here, we just go here. And he can't promote a queen, but then he gets mated. So you can see that these pawns are really dangerous, and we can even afford him taking the bishop, creating himself two passed pawns. But okay, he played h4. I just pushed my pawn. He took my bishop finally and advanced with h5, but it really doesn't matter here. We can just give him a check. If he moves here, then okay, we go here, and next move it's mate. So he went here, but he's really slower, as you can see. We can go here, he can advance, but we're going to promote first, and then just stop this pawn and come closer with our king, and it's just over. He resigns here. So I think this was a really nice example, guys, of showing you how to play against these weak squares and weak pawns. As you can see, white was under pressure and just made a mistake, bishop e3. Even if he didn't play that, his position was still pretty bad because of these pawns. But yeah, it's really easier to play this and better to play this with the black pieces. So guys, I hope you learned something new today. If you did, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.